What are a few of the dumbest crimes people will commit, such as this lady and her $1.5 million wing heist? Or what about this Florida lady who called 911 to report her own crime? Or this weather lady who went crazy with her DUI? Let's get started with number 8, this $1.5 million wing heist. Vera Liddell, formerly the food service director at a public elementary and middle school district in Harvey, Illinois, has been sentenced to 9 years in prison for her role in a scheme we previously reported on. Over the course of her time in the district, Liddell masterminded an operation that stole roughly 11,000 cases of chicken wings valued at approximately $1.5 million. These stolen wings were intended for student meal kits during the pandemic's peak when schools were closed and remote learning was in place. Starting in July of 2020 and continuing until February of 2022, Liddell used her access and authority to mastermind her appetizing theft. Using a school cargo van, she collected the chicken wings herself, ensuring that the students would never benefit from these tasty morsels. Her heist was eventually discovered when a routine audit revealed that food costs had exceeded the budget by an absurd $300,000, with several months still remaining in the school year. The financial discrepancies prompted further investigation, leading to Liddell's arrest and subsequent charges of theft and operating a criminal enterprise in January of 2023. Before her sentencing, Liddell, who had served as the district's food service head for 10 years, entered the guilty plea that got her 9 years. The dumb thing about this case wasn't that she stole over $1 million worth of wings from the school district. It's kind of funny when you hear about it, but she was reselling them, so it wasn't stupid. However, what was stupid was that she took so many wings over one school year that someone was bound to notice. Seriously, she was almost $500,000 over budget before school was even halfway over? Remember, friends, greed gets you caught. Number 7, dialing 911. Christy Turman, 37, from Fort Myers, Florida, was arrested after attempting to circumvent the law in the dumbest way possible. She called 911 to report herself stealing a car, thinking it might legalize the act. It didn't. Turman's strategy unfolded at a local car dealership where she decided to take a Toyota Corolla without permission. Somehow, she thought that reporting her own crime could make it not a crime somehow, and she dialed 911. During the call, she boldly told the dispatcher that she was trying to steal a car that wasn't legally hers and said that they should come make a report since she was reporting it. Turman clearly isn't the smartest little cookie in the cookie jar. Turman explained to the deputies that her tactics were inspired by the video game Call of Duty Black Ops, where she learned how to orchestrate a theft, clearly showing her inability to understand the difference between a video game and real life. Upon arrival, deputies found Turman just as she was exiting the stolen vehicle. She was immediately arrested and faced trespassing charges. Apparently, a quick background check revealed a history of petty theft, robbery, and aggravated battery. We're still not totally sure how she thought that calling in the police to report the theft would somehow make the theft legal, though. That would be a pretty serious loophole if people just had to report the crime themselves to not get in trouble for it. Number 6, Vegas hit and run. Jocelyn Armendariz Martinez from Las Vegas is facing serious charges after a horrible incident. She allegedly drove under the influence, leading to a nearly fatal hit-and-run crash involving a pedestrian. Armendariz Martinez was apparently driving her Audi late one night when a pedestrian crossed her path. The collision was severe, and the pedestrian was urgently taken to the hospital in critical condition. And instead of stopping because she just hit someone, Armendariz Martinez fled the scene. Following the accident, Las Vegas police issued an alert for the damaged Audi. An officer spotted a car matching the description and initiated a stop. Despite the activated emergency lights and air horn, Armendariz Martinez just continued driving until she eventually pulled over. The officer saw the car's front end damage, and upon interacting with Armendariz Martinez, noticed her glassy eyes and the stench of alcohol. She confessed to having been drinking at a downtown bar prior to the incident. Armendariz Martinez admitted her involvement in the crash during her stop with the police. She told the officer she attempted to return to the scene after realizing what happened, but it was too late. Charged charged with DUI and failing to stop at the scene of an accident, she got herself a court hearing with bail set at $75,000. In our opinion, since these services are so readily available, the penalties for DUI should be even more severe. There's really no excuse for ever drunk driving these days, since services such as Lyft and Uber are readily available, especially in a place like Vegas. As of the release of this video, the victim is still in critical condition, so we're hoping for the best. Number 5. Not a cop. Harry Levern Jr., a 22-year-old from South Carolina, was arrested for impersonating a police officer and speeding. The incident occurred during a traffic stop on Interstate 85 in Coweta County, Georgia. While driving at nearly 100 miles per hour, Levern was stopped by a deputy who detected the odor of a certain smelly plant emanating from his vehicle. After being told that this scent provided probable cause for a search, Levern asserted that he understood the procedure well, claiming to be a deputy himself with the Sumter County Sheriff's Office. His ruse was quickly unraveled when the deputy did the most basic thing literally every officer does when they pull over someone. He used his mobile data terminal in his cruiser to verify Levern's claim. A swift check with Sumter County authorities confirmed that Levern wasn't their employee. Upon this revelation, Levern quickly confessed to his poor attempt at deception. He was then taken into custody and booked into the Coweta County Jail. The dumb thing about this is why Levern would even try to fool this cop after getting baked and driving 100 miles per hour. Like, the officer was going to be like, "Oh, well, I realize you put your life at risk as well as many others, but I didn't realize you were a fellow police officer. Have a nice day." It's very stupid to lie about stuff that's easily verified. Number 4. Wrong place, wrong time. In Oceanside, California, a confrontation at a home ended tragically when a homeowner, defending his residence, fatally discharged his firearm at an intruder. The intruder, a 22-year-old male whose name has been withheld, attempted to break into a home armed with only a wooden stake and a rock. He tried to enter through the sliding door of a bedroom while a woman was inside, obviously scaring the living crap out of her. The situation escalated when the intruder then threw the rock at a male resident, striking him in the face. In response, the homeowner retrieved a firearm and discharged 3 rounds, hitting the intruder in the chest, leading to his immediate passing at the scene. Police arrived shortly after and attempted life-saving measures, but were unsuccessful. It was later discovered that the suspect might have attempted to break into another nearby home earlier that evening by throwing a rock through a sliding glass door, although it was unclear if he had managed to enter. As of the time of this report, the Oceanside police haven't filed charges against the homeowner, since it seems like this is a pretty clear-cut case of self-defense. Still, it's sad that this young man lost his life. The event didn't need to happen, and he lost his life for nothing. Throwing the rock would have made a good distraction for an escape instead of staying and waiting for the homeowner to arm himself. Number 3. Thieving Skydivers. In Brooklyn, New York, a couple faced legal repercussions for an unconventional misuse of stolen financial credentials. Abbas Ibrahim, 21, and Mariam Burks, 19, were charged after using a stolen credit card to fund a skydiving adventure. The duo's skydiving adventure included purchasing a video and photo package, which ultimately contributed to them getting ID'd and arrested. Credit card belonging to an unnamed man from Washington State was used by Ibrahim and Burks to order 2 tickets for a skydiving experience at Skydive Long Island in New York. Opting for the deluxe package, the couple shelled out $854 because it wasn't like it was their money they were spending anyway, right? They presented a photocopied version of the credit card at the skydiving site using a fabricated phone verification to facilitate the fraudulent transaction. The thrill seekers were filmed during the dive, clearly having fun and talking about how much they love taking risks. This footage proved to be an important piece of evidence for law enforcement. When discrepancies in the payments surfaced weeks later, the skydive company owner alerted the authorities, leading to the swift identification of the suspects through the video evidence. The video and photos from the skydiving experience were then posted online by the police and also sent to various media outlets, which included major news channels. It was through these widespread broadcasts, including on platforms such as ABC News, that the suspects saw themselves and decided to turn themselves in. During their arraignment, arguments for leniency were presented, with Ibrahim's attorney highlighting his client's status as a college student with a promising future and no prior legal issues. Despite these pleas, both Ibrahim and Burks were held on bail, set at $10,000 each, and were hit with charges of identity theft and forgery. The couple's decision to document their illegal skydiving on video was stupid, because why on earth would you ever document yourself committing a crime? Did they really think that the owner of the credit card wasn't going to notice a charge that size, or that no one would think to identify them through photos, video, and the contact information left at the skydiving place? It's funny how they started out skydiving, but ultimately landed in cuffs. Number 2, 159 pounds. Alicia Twarushka and Jacqueline DeSourcy, both 29 from British Columbia, Canada, were sentenced to nearly 2 years in prison for smuggling illegal substances into the UK. In a deal that promised a free vacation, the duo traveled with 4 large suitcases from Canada to Manchester, each packed with the green plant weighing roughly 159 pounds. Their journey began on a spring day and involved a stop in Toronto before reaching their final destination in the UK. But upon their arrival, their luggage drew the attention of Border Force officers, leading to their arrest. Both women, who were described as intelligent and hardworking with stable family backgrounds, admitted to fraudulently evading a prohibition on the importation of the illegal plants. Judge Patrick Field KC said that their actions were a significant lapse in judgment, potentially driven by naivete or vulnerability. The allure of a free vacation in the UK was mentioned as a possible motivator for their dumb decision. During the court proceedings at Manchester Crown Court, it was revealed that DeSourcy, a massage therapist who owned her own business, struggled with mental health issues following a traumatic event. She nearly withdrew from the scheme, but was coerced into continuing by threats, hinting at dangerous consequences. Twarushka's lawyer described her participation as uncharacteristic, also influenced by poor judgment. Looking at this situation, there was no way these two were ever going to make it through customs with that amount of stinky herb. Just the smell alone coming from their bags would be enough to attract attention. If you're enjoying this video, stay right here to find out how police found this guy with the cash he stole. Number 1. Forecast DUI. Holly Strano, a long-standing meteorologist at WKYC in Cleveland, Ohio, got herself some legal consequences following a DUI arrest on Thanksgiving of 2023. She has been an icon of resilience and mental health advocacy, cherished by viewers for her spirited presence and openness about personal struggles. On the evening of November 23, 2023, Strano's vehicle was seen driving at speeds exceeding 70 miles per hour in a 35 mile per hour zone near Akron and Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio. Her SUV ultimately veered off the road, leading to a crash. Responding officers noted signs of intoxication, and sobriety tests revealed a blood alcohol content of 0.244, 3 times the legal limit. Strano was charged with operating a vehicle impaired, among other traffic violations. Following the incident, WKYC withheld comments, saying the incident was a personnel matter. Strano faced charges in Cuyahoga Falls Mayor's Court, where she was fined $375 and sentenced to a driver intervention program, avoiding incarceration. Her driving privileges were suspended for a year, with allowances for necessary work-related travel. Strano's first public comments came via social media, where she expressed profound remorse and shared insights into her personal reflections and the start of her sobriety journey. She said that the incident was a pivotal moment in her life, forcing her to confront and address her mistakes. Her candid acknowledgement of the need for change and healing resonated with her audience, who extended support during her difficult times. In early 2024, Strano continued to share her progress in embracing sobriety and the impact of community support on her recovery. Her story really shows the challenges of public figures facing personal crisis and the potential for personal growth and redemption. It's already stupid to drive drunk, and as we've said before, in this day and age, there's no reason for it. It's even worse to drive drunk and be famous, much like Holly Strano, since even low-level celebrities have so much more to lose. That said, it seems like Strano is sincere in her efforts to recover, and dealing with serious personal issues is already pretty tough. So, credit to her for dealing with them in a very public way. What happens when there's nothing going on between the ears? Hilarious crimes that are easily solved. Let's get right to it with number 9, the bus pass. Amateur thief Jordan McDonald robbed a businessman but made the critical mistake of forgetting his bus pass in the car. McDonald was part of a 4-man gang that lay in wait for a young businessman who was withdrawing cash from a bank in Birmingham, England. After robbing the man, the gang zoomed away in their vehicle, which they eventually abandoned. The police would have never had a clue about the identity of any of the men if Jordan hadn't made the mistake of forgetting his bus pass in the getaway car. After searching the car, the police found the pass and a shopping voucher, both of which had his name on them. After that, the rest of the investigation was light work. The police stormed McDonald's home, apprehended him, and went through his phone. That's when they found images showing bundles of 50-pound notes neatly laid on a stairway at his girlfriend's house. It's always a good idea to take pictures of piles of cash you stole and post them on social media so that all of the people who know you aren't rich are now going to think you are rich. Fanning out money or placing wads of money all over the place will serve as proof to all the non-believers, of course. McDonald tried to pass the funds off as money acquired from selling a car, but that excuse was never going to fly. He was eventually jailed for 8 years for his crimes, and he'll get to ride a different bus. Number 8. The worst appointment ever. Jason Dante Hayes was apprehended by police officers after arranging a meeting with a 70-year-old victim he'd abducted and robbed a day before. The meeting was originally planned so that his victim could hand over even more of her money to him. Unfortunately for Hayes, having a follow-up appointment for a shakedown isn't as good of an idea as it sounds. The night before, Hayes had broken into the home of the old lady. He woke her up with a pistol on her shoulder and then demanded money. She said she didn't have any, but had some money in her bank account. Hayes then drove her to an ATM and asked her to withdraw $2,000. However, the ATM couldn't dispense that amount, so it only released $460 to the thief. Instead of taking the money and just leaving, our man Hayes had a different idea. He drove the woman back to her home, woke up her husband, and threatened them for about an hour. He told them to meet him in a parking lot the next day with the balance of the $2,000 he wanted to steal, and that he'd be wearing the same clothes so they could identify the correct bad guy. He told them that if they didn't, he would come back to take their lives. He also warned them sternly not to involve the police. And off he went, safe in the expectation that his extended robbery was in no danger of going awry. You know, he was like really stern with them. So of course they're going to listen, right? Well, he wasn't nearly stern enough. The couple defiantly called the police, unwilling to take orders from some kid who was shaking them down. At first, the police didn't believe that Hayes would be dumb enough to come to the appointment wearing clothes that would identify him, but was plenty dumb enough. When Hayes arrived for the meeting, the police simply arrested him. In the end, the chief of police said that Hayes was probably the dumbest criminal he would see that year. Number 7. Forget something? Robert Hobby and Marcus Reeves were arrested after robbing a store and forgetting a wallet, government ID, and a shoe. According to the police, the two men had a grand time robbing convenience stores of cigarettes and lottery tickets. The only problem with their actions is that they didn't exactly plan it out. First, the stores they robbed all had CCTVs, and all of them captured Hobby and Reeves taking smoke breaks while carrying out their robberies. But just seeing some schmo smoking on CCTV isn't enough to ID said schmo. So the police still needed more info to track the thieves down. So Reeves, who's in no way related to Keanu, decided to make the job easier for the police by leaving his wallet behind while making his lazy getaway where he responsibly kept his ID. But wait, there's more. He also found a way to forget his shoe, which is seriously impressive incompetence if you think about it. How badly do you have to suck at robbery to not just forget an ID card, but one of your shoes? It's not like it was a scarf or something. The thing literally goes on your feet. Anyway, the police simply ran the forgotten ID, then showed up at Reeves' house to arrest him. He knew the jig was up when they found him and took him into custody, where he promptly confessed. Number 6. Don't mess with the Royal Marines. A man tried to show off his exceptional lack of brains by trying to rob a Tesco while 3 Royal Marines stood mere yards away promoting a charity event where they were going to row across the Atlantic on the same route the Titanic took. The 18-year-old criminal grabbed up items such as perfumes and a hairdryer and was ripping off security stickers from them. Remember, he was doing this in full view of the Marines in the area. But he didn't just rip off stickers off items he wanted to steal. He also went on to assault the security man who asked him about what he was doing. Well, the Marines, being Marines, didn't really like the idea of someone shoplifting in front of them. So, the infuriated soldiers pursued the thief to the parking lot where he was ragdolled, then dragged back into the store by the scruff of his neck. The police had already been called and were already waiting for him. Number 5. Welcome to my crib. Huaka Yang recorded himself confessing to a crime with the camera he stole. Yang had stolen the camera from a car in the driveway of Republican State Senate candidate Bill Feehan. The camera itself didn't belong to Bill Feehan. Instead, it was the property of one of Feehan's aides, a man named Chris Rochester. The police found the camera and returned it to Chris as part of an investigation into recent thefts in the area. At the time, he didn't check the contents of the camera because he didn't seriously think the thief would have a brain made up of 50% air and 50% stupid air. Fortunately, Chris was wrong, and that was precisely the sort of brain this thief had. When he went through the camera, he found a couple of videos that he hadn't recorded and decided to go through them. That was when he saw a video of Yang demonstrating his air to stupid air ratio. He talked about how he stole the camera, introduced himself with his full name, and also gave a tour of his home. It's difficult to imagine a dumber criminal. Chris took the video and uploaded it to YouTube for the world to see. He wanted to know if this was truly the dumbest criminal ever, and our answer is probably. He makes the top 10 list at least. In any case, the police got a hold of the video and then showed the clip to officials at the local high school. They recognized the student in the video, and the student identified Yang, who was promptly arrested. Number 4. Reputational excellence. Jamie Sharp was jailed again after he was caught breaking into the home of a mother of 4. The victim caught him on camera and distributed his photos online. That was when he was identified as a criminal who had been on Britain's Dumbest Criminals, a show about criminals with the most air for brains. The show featured a popular episode that explored how Sharp stole a vehicle, then made a video while driving the vehicle, and then crashed that vehicle into a wall and trapped himself inside. So when the victim of Sharp's recent carjacking distributed the CCTV snapshots of his break-in, people quickly recognized him as the moron from the TV show. His victim, who shared his photos online, had a CCTV placed right outside her house. Sharp had no idea that this camera existed, so when he decided to break into her home, he didn't account for it. Sharp began his operation at night when his victim was in her bed sleeping. Her dog barked while the crime was ongoing, but she just thought it was her dog doing that dog thing where they bark at trees or something. Then she came out and found her door ajar and her car stolen. The burglar also took her iPad, handbag, and the medications for her disabled child that were left in the car. Thankfully, her neighbor had the CCTV camera that pointed directly in front of her house, so she retrieved snapshots from it. The shots did justice to the scene as they captured everything that our not-so-sharp criminal, Jamie Sharp, had done. She distributed those snapshots online, and if anyone recognized the thief. But Sharp was something like a local hero of dumbness, so he was instantly identified. Hundreds of people, including his mother, reached out to the police to identify him. Even his mother understood that he needed to get off the streets and go to jail. In the end, poor, dumb Jamie Sharp was caught and charged in court. His victim testified and in her impact statement asked the judge to lock him up for a long time as he was never going to change. Unsurprisingly, the court also found out that this was hardly his first or second crime. Back in 2013, he had stolen an Audi from a burgled home and had been arrested after a long car chase that involved 4 police cars and a helicopter. The judge considered all these facts and then sentenced him to 4 years in jail. One can only hope that Sharp comes out of the prison a changed man, because if he doesn't, he'll probably get recognized as a famously dumb criminal again. Number 3. Outsmarted by a fence. This thief got stuck on the same fence twice in one night during 2 different burgle expeditions. Yes, you heard that right. The first time the thief got stuck was around 3 a.m. when he climbed over the store's fence to steal 24 cans of energy drink. The fence, loyal to the store, attempted to detain the thief by holding him by his britches. He was lucky that a passing car stopped by the fence and those inside freed him, not knowing they were helping the bad guy. But he wasn't as lucky the second time. Around 2 hours later, the same thief returned to the same store to steal again. This time, he got in and took a crate of beer, thinking he'd outsmart the fence. But the fence had other plans, and he got stuck again. But the thief wasn't gonna go down without a fight. He'd learned a thing or two since the first time the fence got him, so he tried putting off his pants to make his escape. It did not work. The thief was placed under citizen's arrest by the fence till around 6:30 a.m. when a passerby saw him and called the police. When the police came, he was arrested, and all the stolen items were retrieved from his home. The owner of the store was alerted as well and asked to watch the CCTV recording of the entire incident. It was so hilarious that the owner said he almost rolled on the floor laughing. Number 2. Identify yourself. Three women, Zeynep Spee Maddox, Kirsten Laurie, and Kimberly St. John Stevenson, have been sentenced after running a Facebook scam that swindled hundreds of mothers looking for a bargain. The scam started like a regular business. Zeynep Spee Maddox created a Facebook group that was supposed to be a space where new mothers could get heavily discounted items like toys, car seats, and even trips to Disney World. News of the site soon spread through word of mouth, and almost 200 mothers joined it. People who wanted to purchase items on the site got their first product with no hassle. The discounts were real and the products arrived on time. However, subsequent orders didn't usually go according to plan. The customers would purchase the item, but Zeynep, the creator of the site, wouldn't send the product nor provide a refund. There was also some creative accounting with the money that was coming in through the sales that never happened. They sent the money back and forth through several bank accounts in an attempt to launder it. It probably would have been successful, but all of their names and contact information was listed on the site, so there was no way to disguise or hide their operation. Soon, a local reporter heard of the site and went undercover to meet one of the women, Zeynep Spee Maddox, offline. Immediately, after realizing that it was a sting operation, Zeynep fled the scene and also the country. Coincidentally, the police were already investigating. According to the police, Zeynep took trips to China, Cancun, and Dubai to avoid prosecution. When she got back to the U.S., she made sure she stayed far away from Ohio. During that time, one of her co-conspirators, Kimberly St. John Stevenson, was maintaining an account that Zeynep had access to, which enabled her to withdraw over $60,000 while on the run. Zeynep was eventually arrested in Las Vegas on a fugitive warrant and extradited to Ohio to face the law. Kimberly St. Stevenson and Zeynep's sister Kirsten were also arrested in connection to the Facebook group fraud. The group was hit with multiple felony charges, including conspiracy, aggravated theft, money laundering, telecommunications fraud, engaging in a pattern of corrupt activity, and possessing criminal tools. Zeynep was sentenced to 6 years in prison for her efforts, and Kimberly was released after spending over a year in custody. Number 1. Through the roof. Amateur thieves Brittany Burke and Richard Pariseau got into something of a mix after they used a stolen credit card at a small store. And by mix, we mean Richard got tased, bro, and Brittany tried to escape through the vents but fell back into the store. She also lost one of her shoes in all the excitement. Here's how this hilarious episode started for this less intelligent Bonnie and Clyde. They tried to use a stolen credit card to purchase goods at a store. Cashier called the police, and an officer quickly arrived at the scene. The officer attempted to arrest the couple, but their kerfuffle ensued, and Brittany ran back into the store. Meanwhile, the officer at the door continued to grapple with Richard to try and force him to surrender. He was quickly tased by the police and ultimately subdued. During that electrifying event, Brittany was running around the store looking for ways to escape. She went to the back room of the store and saw an air vent. Clearly, being a fan of Die Hard, the greatest Christmas movie ever, she thought she could escape, but it ended up more like The Breakfast Club. She planned to use it to get out of the store since the entrance was blocked by the cop, but it didn't quite work that way. Instead, she fell out of the roof of the store right into the shelves and onto the floor. At that point, Brittany realized that she wasn't getting away and surrendered. Click to watch one of these next videos. Let us know in the comments section which holiday you'd rather get rid of if you had to choose one, Christmas or Halloween.